Greetings and welcome to the Daily Article Podcast. Today is Friday, February the 9th, 2024. I'm Chris Elkins of the Denison Forum, narrating today's article written by Dr. Ryan Denison. My favorite NFL team is the Dallas Cowboys. My second favorite team is whoever is playing the Philadelphia Eagles. After that, I tend not to care too much about who wins any particular game, and that includes this Sunday's Super Bowl between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm still going to gather with family to watch the game, and for more on how to use the Super Bowl to cultivate community, find a link in today's podcast episode notes to Christian Englert's recent article. But the game's outcome isn't nearly as important to me as the competitiveness of the game, the quality of the commercials, and how much I can eat before a new champion is crowned. Given that relative degree of apathy regarding the teams on the field, I find myself focusing more on the players, particularly those who seem to have a strong relationship with the Lord. And it turns out there are quite a few players and team personnel on both sidelines who are Christians. Paul Bond has a great article up at Newsweek and profiles several of the athletes as well as the efforts of groups like He Gets Us to once again use the Super Bowl as a platform for sharing the gospel. For today, though, I would like to focus on two players in particular: Brock Purdy, quarterback for the 49ers, and Harrison Butker, kicker for the Chiefs. They are far from the only Christians playing on Sunday. For example, I read about the faith of running back Christian McCaffrey, the legacy of devotion in Eric Armstead, the public witness of quarterback Patrick Mahomes, the servant leadership of Chiefs owner Clark Hunt. Learning more about these men will encourage your faith as well. But the stories of Purdy and Butker in particular stuck out to me this week. In a recent interview with Hall of Fame quarterback Steve Young, Brock Purdy discussed the role of faith in his life and the impact it had on his career. Purdy was the last pick of the 2022 NFL Draft, granting him the ignominious title of Mr. Irrelevant, and only became the 49ers starting quarterback after a litany of injuries to the players ahead of him last season. Despite that beginning, though, he's become one of the game's most promising young players and would have been the starter in last week's Pro Bowl if he hadn't had a slightly more important game to prepare for this Sunday. Yet, Purdy is clear on who gets the credit for his quick rise towards stardom. Quote, "That's all God," adding that the Lord's plan is bigger and more beautiful than I could ever imagine. I'm just going to show up every day, work hard, and see where He takes me. So I'm very thankful for it, man. But did I ever expect all this kind of stuff? I didn't. I had no idea. So I just try to show up, do my job every day, and it falls in the place it needs to. Elsewhere in the interview, he stated, "I know who I am, and God, if you want me to do great with football, great. If not, all right, let's go do something else wherever you need me." End quote. And that perspective is something Harrison Butker also talked about. Like Purdy, Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker also experienced a great deal of success early in his career, winning his first of 2 Super Bowls in his 3rd season in the league. But as he told Sports Spectrum, quote, "If I didn't have faith in God, I don't think I'd be the father I am, the husband I am, the kicker I am. That kind of sets the tone for everything else, and everything falls under that. But that gives me the strength to do everything I need to do." He went on to say, "I may have fears about it, I might have pressure, but I know I am a child of God, and He's going to protect me. And maybe that protection comes with some suffering, but that's what's best for me, and I got to accept the suffering and grow as best I can with that. You miss some kicks and you realize, okay, my identity can't all be as a football player. So I grew a lot in my prayer life, knowing that I'm nothing without Him and I got to lean on Him. And if He wants to take anything from me, He can. And if He wants to add anything, He can. It's all up to Him." End quote. What stuck out to me about the testimonies of Brock Purdy and Harrison Butker was the way both talked about the importance of finding their identity in Christ rather than in football. Moreover, they point to that identity as a key part of their success. They aren't great players in spite of their faith, but because of their faith. That's not to say you have to be a Christian to be a great athlete or a success in any other walk of life. Examples abound of people who have achieved the highest levels of earthly success without giving a second thought to the Lord. Yet it's interesting how both Purdy and Butker credit their faith with helping them stay level-headed in the midst of the chaos that surrounds them each game. They find peace in the knowledge that their worth is not tied up in the outcome of any given play, regardless of the stakes. And there's a lot we can learn from their example. Jesus concluded the Sermon on the Mount by cautioning his disciples that the only way to weather the storms of life successfully is by building on the foundation of his word. Those words to which he refers points back to the holistic teachings he delivered across the previous 3 chapters. The best way to approach life is by grounding our identity in who God says we are and making sure that He is the Lord over every facet of our lives. It won't keep the storms from coming, but it will ensure that we can weather them well. Purdy said, "I know who I am." Butker said, "I know I'm a child of God." Do you know who and whose you are today? Listeners like you support Denison Forum's mission to deliver news discerned differently. As a ministry nonprofit, we are fully donor supported. To partner with us, please donate today using the donate link in our show notes.